Good morning. Welcome to the second morning. Welcome to our second day of the 8th AfICTA Summit 2020. I just want to take this moment to also reflect as I welcome you. So welcome to all the AfICTA members, speakers and panelists. Welcome dignitaries. Welcome to all the attendees that are from Africa and also from across the whole world. Also welcome and also to give the recognition to our key sponsors, which is IBM, BCICAN, and Galaxy Backbone PLC. I welcome you all to the second day of the 8th AfICTA Summit 2020. I will also like just to recognize all the companies that are part and parcel of this summit as they have made this to be possible by being participants and also being members. We've got Main One Cable Company, Contemporary, ATESAL, Letago Solutions, .ng, Afinoid, Digilexis, Hugo Host, we've got Institute of Tomorrow, Qualisys, Edcon, we've got ICT Professionals Association of Namibia, we've got Institute of IT Professionals South Africa, we've got Chemitel, Axiom, International Center for Imaging Technology, we've got Araba Host, Afritext, Tech Law Dev Services, and Rated Artisan. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was our first day. It was very heated, and just to give a recap of what has happened yesterday, we started with a highly engaging keynote speeches, and the keynote speeches highlighted the very key items across the challenges that we have in Africa, and very key items about investment in technology, capacity building, applications that are Afrocentric, cybersecurity, as well as our infrastructure deficit solutions. Those are the themes that were highlighted in breadth yesterday as we had discussions. We also had a lot of input that was gravitating towards ensuring that when we develop solutions in Africa, we develop solutions that are working for our context. And even when we're building our capacity must be built in such a way that it is effective. It is able to take up arms, excuse the pun, but it's arms in terms of being able to be productive. It can be able to be productive from day one. They have to be practical. They have to use skill sets that they get for them to be able to deliver. We had presentations on NGOs that were showing what is actually being done in Nigeria, getting young kids that are actually not necessarily having even completed high school, but getting them to start knowing how to code. These programs have even been extended. I know most of the programs about girl code and all that, but a need has been identified to extend this to boys and to men. And it's very critical that we are very inclusive and we get to have everybody to be part and parcel of this type of solutions. So kudos to that. It's a very good initiative. We saw initiatives that are coming also from IBM, which is trying to deal with advancement of entrepreneurs. There was a challenge that was put that if you know of any startup that requires to technology, and it's actually in the fintech or whether it's in the health sector or in insurance, those have to actually be advanced to Melissa, to IBM, so that they can be part of the startup program. I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, send the information through the Secretariat for all the startups that you are aware of. Any technology startup that you are aware of, make sure that you send through the information to the Secretariat. I think you can send through the chat here, or you can actually send directly on a private message to the Secretariat. It's been put as a host here, and I think it's written AfICTA, Africa ICT Alliance. That's the participant name. Ensure that you send the information to the Secretariat. Then they will ensure that we are linking you directly to IBM. These are the kind of outcomes and action that we are requiring out of the summit. We wanted the summit to be action-oriented, we want it to be solution-oriented, we want it to be practical. By the time we are done with this summit, at the least we've got low-hanging fruits being addressed. That is the view we should be adopting. We know at times it's good to have a talk shop. We have changed. We are moving towards implementing. We have to make sure that there is action that comes out of this summit. Also, what we also got, we had a very interesting digital nation africa.com, which is a free and a virtual platform for skills such as robotics, analytics, data science, and all the 4IR type of skill sets. This is targeted for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to use these resources. These resources are available. We cannot say we do not have resources. The resources are being availed to us. They are available. Kindly ensure that you get the kids, as many kids as possible, into these sessions. We have to get them into this. It's very critical. Ladies and gentlemen, before I move, I'm getting an indication. I think I did not pay my bills correctly. I need to just apologize and also highlight two other members, which is Diamond Security Consulting and Computer Society of Kenya. These are other organizations that are part and parcel of what we are doing, and also in support of our summit. Today's day is going to be quite interesting. We are going to interact in the very same manner we interacted yesterday. Only that I ask that we get more interactions in terms of questions. There is a question and answer tab. It's a Q&A. It's a tab that you can find in this platform. Kindly flight your questions there. Otherwise, you can flight your questions on the chat. We'll try to incorporate them into the Q&A. However, we would like to have this to be more participative and to have that engagement. We get more learning and we get more traction when we have engagement going. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I see my time and I see an indication on the other side that I need to start going into the business of the day. I do welcome you, and today's session is thus open. We will go straight into our panel session number 4. Our moderator is Tola, and the topic is ICANN BC outreach. It is basically to intensify African business awareness, efforts, and involvement in the internet governance. I think we did see a video from Dr. Jimson Olufuye yesterday speaking about this in brief. Very critical for businesses to partake. The internet is taking a center stage, and the only way to be a sustainable business and a going concern is to ensure that you actually partake and you are part of this solution. Toya, are you available? Are you ready?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm here. Good morning.
Much appreciated. I will give the platform to you to take over the reins. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Conference Chairman. Thank you, and especially for doing a very good job in trying to give us a recap of the great sessions we had yesterday. I recognize, I don't know if the chairman of AfICTA is here, Osam El Garen. We want to appreciate him for the great things he had done in the course of his tenure as the chairman of AfICTA. I see the founder and first chairman of AfICTA is here, and incidentally, he's one of us at ICANN Business Constituency, and it's a pleasure having him. What we will do in the next couple of minutes is to bring to the fore what benefits ICANN on one hand and ICANN BC, Business Constituency, can bring to businesses in Africa, ICT businesses in Africa. We are very much aware that because of COVID, a lot of businesses are going from not just digitizing, but they are equally going to digitalization, as we listened to yesterday, and everybody wants to do digital transformation. And behind that, every one of us will be making use of the internet. And to that extent, ICANN becomes very important for us to understand how ICANN can help us transform our businesses. And in protecting your interest and as ICT businesses in Africa, there is only one constituency that is there to assist you, to guide, and above all, to leverage your networking for businesses in the internet government. And joining me to discuss, that I'll be moderating today, is the incoming Vice Chair of Finance and Administration of ICANN BC, Mr. Lawrence Olawale Roberts. We equally have the incoming CSG representative of ICANN BC, incidentally, the representative of AfICTA on ICANN BC, Dr. Waudu Siganga. And we have an Amazon representing Africa very well, a founding board member of AfICTA and current chair of Credential Committee of ICANN BC, Engineer Ariola Akiemi. Within the three of them, they will be discussing with us how our ICT businesses and our associations can benefit from ICANN, and extensively how we can be part of the businesses of ICANN. As of today, AfICTA is a member of ICANN business constituency. We've been members since 2012 and we've been very, very active. Currently, we have Dr. Waldo Siganga and Yusuf Kiliu representing AfICTA as alternate. And to that extent, we'll realize that AfICTA has a lot in common or to benefit from ICANN business constituency in particular. Without much ado, I'd like to ask Mr. Lawrence Olawale Robert, if you're ready. We'd like to have a few words from you to begin with. I would like each of you to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. And if we have questions and answers, we'll come back to you. Mr. Robert, if you're ready, incoming Vice Chair of ICANN BC Finance and Admin, you are please welcome. Please, participants, join me in welcoming Lawrence Olawale Robert.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to confirm that I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for that head-warming welcome, Tola. And to dive in straight to what we have before us, this is an ICANN BC outreach session. I think it's just important that we take a look at what ICANN BC itself is all about. BC is the business constituency within ICANN, and that's one of the only constituencies, I guess, aside MPOC, that its representation is built around companies. So in the business constituency, rather in ICANN's business constituency, is the companies that come together that are the stakeholders, so to say. Definitely, their companies are represented by individuals. In my case, Microboss is the member of the business constituency, and I, as the MD Lawrence, happen to shepherd discussions there. While Tola was opening the floor for this, he did mention that in today's world, we have seen a very massive transformation in the digital space. This is all due to the pandemic. And we had more businesses, new businesses grow and move online, while we've had existing businesses also changing, being forced to change their business models to move online. So definitely, this is a time when the internet, when commerce on the internet definitely has taken a front role. And it's just important that we also understand how this impacts business and why we should get on board. In the world of ICANN, the major thing that takes place there is policy development to ensure that the internet remains stable, resilient, and interoperable for businesses and for commercial ventures to take place. So in other words, one of the core activities that is carried out within ICANN is the development of policy that enhances commerce. Now, you might wonder why this is important to you and to myself. Because we have more businesses going online now, that whatever it is that is a policy developed around how commercial activities should take place on the internet definitely affects anyone who is using the internet, whether you are in Nigeria, whether you're in Ghana, whether you're in South Africa, in Zambia, wherever you are. The same policies that govern the use of the internet in the African region also governs it in the global north. So while we have active participation by businesses in the global north trying to form these policies, it is important for those of us in the global south, Nigeria and Africa inclusive, to also sit at the same table and look at how these policies affect our businesses, because there are different value systems between us. For instance, in the developed climes in the global north, businesses might not have so much of a problem raising capital for business as long as they're a business. Businesses might not have problems with multiple permits to operate. Businesses might not have problems with capacity and a lot of other things that we here in the developing climes grapple with. And so while we sit at the table in ICANN, we keep our eyes on policy issues that tend to bring another layer of challenge or difficulty, as it may mean, to our operating system here. And I want to give an example. Right now, in the last rung of the last 2 years, we have had to deal with the GDPR, which is a data privacy law that was initiated by the European Union. Now, while this is a law that is domesticated in the European Union, it also has impact on businesses, especially on businesses operating outside of the European Union. Now, if you are not in ICANN or in other spaces where these issues are being discussed, it doesn't mean that you will bring ignorance of such a law existing. Because I sit in ICANN and because I participate in the policy development process there, I understand what non-compliance with this law can do to my business here in Nigeria, as long as I have the data of a European citizen on my system. And because of that, it's made me strive to become compliant, such that if there's a data breach on my own network here in Nigeria, I don't get to pay the kind of fine that could shut down the business completely. Now, we are not only grappling with the GDPR, we've now seen a situation where there are so many, where governments are now beginning, to enact different privacy laws. Nigeria has one, and I'm sure other African countries are beginning to move in that stead. And so ICANN has become more or less a clearinghouse because right now, through the business constituency and other parts of the community, ICANN is now discussing with the European Commission and others on how these laws are affecting our business, because definitely there's a huge impact on the WHOIS database. I don't want to go too technical, so I will just leave out some of those details. So by and large, ICANN is a melting point where if you are a business, you need to, one, come to learn what is happening in the broader internet space, internet governance space. And after learning what is going on in the internet governance space, it doesn't just give us the information, it also gives us a platform to interact, a platform to join the discussion, and it also provides a platform for us to, bring our views, especially views from our operating region, and infuse it into the policy that is being developed. So because we sit in ICANN, those of us that are already there in the business constituency, we are able to bring the views of our region into the discussion. When things are going on that, when policy is being developed and it's not looking at the cost, because for us here, when you change the dollar, it becomes a very huge amount locally. And so sometimes we have to keep our eyes on the cost of getting those things done, because in some regions, it might be a small amount. For those of us here in the developing region, it might mean a very huge amount and might mean that we cannot remain compliant. I want to stop at this point, knowing that I have two other colleagues, Waudo and Ariola here, and they might want to speak from different angles. I would love to take questions there.
All right, thank you, Lawrence. I've been wanting to stop you at that very minute. I know you. I know, given opportunity, you will continue discussing ICANN and particularly BC for the next 2, 3, 4 hours. We would like to hear other perspective. It's a BC outreach, and we need to give a background to what BC outreach is. As I welcome my colleague, Engineer Ariola, I would like to remind participants that the business constituency wishes to attract new members. And so we spent quite a few on outreaches, marketing to say, maybe I should use a common statement. We are marketing, okay? We are marketing the BC across Africa. So as we speak, participants, especially associations that are participating in this summit, should please encourage their members to join the business constituency to protect their businesses and even learn about what is happening about business constituencies in ICANN. I would like to welcome Engineer Ariola, a member of AfICTA board some 3 years after we started, and was part of ICANN. He's been part of ICANN BC, my colleague at the fellowship, and my colleague when we were in IT Association of Nigeria, ITAN, we both served on the board, and we're both in ICANN BC. Permit me to please welcome Engineer Ariola Akemi, the Amazon of ICANN BC. You're welcome, Engineer.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Tola. It's always interesting to talk about ICANN BC. It's something I'm passionate about. It's a body that involves being part of taking the African voice, like reaching out to you for you to understand the importance and benefit of being part of the ICANN BC. About
I think
other
we
African
lost you.
opportunity, which forms about 19%. You lost me.
Now you're back. It's okay.
Your
Can you
network
still hear me?
fluctuating. Maybe let me invite Dr. Waud. Why?
So I might have to turn off the video.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, we can do that. If you can do without video, then we can listen. Let's try and listen to you without it. Thank you so much. We lost you for a while.
Am I clear now?
Begin from, just start all over again.
Okay then. Thank you once again. Sorry about that. That's technical glitch. Like I was saying earlier, I would repeat myself. The ICANN BC is a body I am passionate about because it has given me, as a business person, the opportunity to participate in the policy making process on the internet ecosystem. Oftentimes, we start our businesses, but we do not realize the implication and the challenges that will come with running the business, especially when it comes to policies and decision making. When we are laid back, we find ourselves being strangled out of our businesses that we are passionate about, not because we are not, we do not have the passion, but because we do not have the necessary tools with which to work. Being on the ICANN BC, especially for those who are internet users, business internet users, you find yourself being part of those policies that could negatively affect your business in terms of, like Lawrence earlier highlighted, the GDPR. Currently, there's an ongoing discussion on the universal acceptance, that is, and then international domain names, internationalized domain names. And this has to do with, we all know about the .africa, which AfICTA is currently using, AfICTA.Africa. But if you find out, you'll find out that your email addresses might not even be acceptable at those points. And then where does that leave you? Where is your voice at this point? Your voice needs to be heard. You need to be part of this process. You need to engage in this process. And that is what the BC is inviting you to come and do. The BC outreach is a way of reaching out to you to make you understand that the BC itself, that's the business constituency of the ICANN, is willing to have you on board, where you can come share your views as an internet business user. And also, you can be part of the policy positions that are being highlighted in the internet ecosystem. Having been part of AfICTA from the onset, interestingly, it is the BC outreach at an AfICTA Summit that got me engaged in the BC. And since then, there has been no looking back for me. So this also can apply to almost everyone who who is part of the the AfICTA Summit today, as an internet user, the universal acceptance, for instance, talks about different languages. In Africa, for instance, we have English, we have French, we have Portuguese, we have Swahili, we have Arabic, and all such. What is your contribution to the policies that drive the acceptance of all these generic top-level domain names, or even the CCTLDs, that's the country codes? What is your contribution to that? How are you being part of it? The realization that these things could actually negatively affect our businesses, especially when probably you're trying to register for a business opportunity out there and your email address is seen as invalid because it's carrying a .africa, or maybe another any other extension, any other TLD extension. So at the end of the day, when all those things are being considered, you sitting at the table, we sitting at the table, especially from Africa, raising our voices and giving them our point of view will help to make our businesses better and will improve our businesses, and continue to help us to build a more resilient, a more cohesive business environment for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, it's been, I appreciate how you covered what benefits members will make from joining ICANN-BC. I would like Dr. Audu to take a different approach this time around. Yes, we've listened to Lawrence and Ariola discussing what benefits come the way of businesses in Africa. Lawrence mentioned something like policy development. If I'm a techie, the only thing I know is how to sit on my laptop and either I code or I am under the table connecting cables, and I don't know what does policy got to do with my business. How does policy make me make more money? And I would like Dr. Waldo to please discuss with us before I call Dr. Jimson to wrap up this session. Dr. Waldo, how does policy development that the BC gets so much involved in, how does it get to assist businesses, especially in Africa? Dr. Waldo, please.
Thank you, moderator, and hello, everybody. So my name is Waudu Siganga. I'm the representative of AfICTA to the BC. On the BC, I'm also the representative of the BC to a larger organization known as the Commercial Stakeholders Group, which brings together not just the business constituency, but also the internet service providers and connectivity providers, as well as in the intellectual property constituency. The business constituency is made up of business users. So not the business people that deal with the internet, like service providers, but the users, the big companies that use the internet. So that's just as a background. So to come back to the question about the policy, I think policy is everything for the business community, not just in Africa, but all across the world. And that is why the BC is there and why it is very, very active. It's active making the policies. Why are these important? Okay, first of all, look at it this way. Every business relies on the internet. Right now, there's no business that can do without the internet, even for one single day. In any country, if the internet goes down, almost all businesses go down with it. So all businesses are relying on internet for things like email communications. In fact, even for voice communications, they are relying on the internet now. For websites, to be accessible to their customers and to their suppliers and to the other stakeholders, they must have websites. Many businesses are doing e-commerce and so on and so forth. So many businesses take the internet for granted. it's running in the background, and what they know is that it is running well. It's like flying on an aeroplane. You know the plane will get you where you're going, so you don't pay much attention to the small preparations, the intimate preparations that are there to make sure that it's working properly. So the internet has to work properly. It has to be secure. It has to be safe. It has to be stable, and it has to be available all the time for businesses. And for that to happen is not something that should be taken for granted. It is all governed by the policies that are in the background. And those policies do not fall from the sky. Those policies are put together by people. And those people are the stakeholders of the internet, who include the business people. So the business people must participate in that process of making the policies, to make sure that the policies are going to work for them. And why should these policies work for them? One of the things I mentioned already is to make sure that the internet is stable, is secure, is available, is reliable, and also is affordable. That's one of the things. But I'll give you a few other examples. Intellectual property rights. These are very, very important aspects of what business are all about, because every business is trying to protect something that it owns in the form of intellectual property rights. Let's start, for example, like with the name of the organization. If you have your name is, let's say,
we may be losing Dr. Waudo there. Dr. Waudo. As we seem to be losing Dr. Waudo. Dr. Waudo, if you can hear us, can you please perhaps switch off your video? In the meantime,
Kilimanjaro. Excuse me. Okay, so that is a business name. Which hello, hello. You can hear me now. I'm sorry for that disruption. I'm using my phone for the connectivity, and then a call came in. I think I should have stopped the calls coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was giving an example. I just want to show the link between the businesses and the policies. So I'm giving the example of a company, maybe from Kileo's country, Kilimanjaro Beer Company. Now they rely on that name Kilimanjaro so much. It's a trade name. It's a brand. So if we go to the internet and the person comes and registers that name, then they will, I don't know, I'll just have to try to finish. You can hear me? Okay. So the Kilimanjaro company has to make sure that the presence on the internet is also in relation to them. So somebody else cannot go to the internet and register that name, Kilimanjaro, and maybe to confuse customers that for this specific company. So that's an example of something that should make companies in Africa to be aware and to be sensitive to what is happening in ICANN, because ICANN is the organization that is giving names and naming rights to people and to companies for the virtual presence. Another example is for why the companies should be interested in the policies that are running the internet is DNS abuse. Everybody is a victim of DNS abuse. What do I mean by DNS abuse? For example, phishing. People get emails telling them, "Can you click here and this will happen and this will happen, or you get this amount of money, or there's a present for you." So with African companies, if we are not careful, that some people can register names that are very close to the name of the African company, and then they try to lure customers of this company to visit their websites, and through that some internet crimes can be committed against people. So to stop this kind of DNS abuse, it requires policies to be in place, and those policies are created by the stakeholders of ICANN or of the internet. So it's important that the African businesses are participating in that process to make those policies. There's one specific. Just a quick one.
Yeah.
You can hear me? Just a quick one before I stop. There's a very important example that came up a few years ago from Africa about where I saw a big company. There's a big company in Africa that supplies satellite television programs to many countries around Africa. Now, a few years ago, we had what was known as an expansion of the DNS, where there were many more registries or suppliers of internet services who were registered by ICANN. And I think many people in Africa didn't know what was going on. So this company was one of the companies that went and registered quite a number of names with ICANN to be a registry. Why I got concerned was that it was very, very expensive. I think it was $186,000 to register one what we call top level domain and become a registry. And this company registered around 5 of them. And then later on, this company discovered that it did not actually require those names, and it actually abandoned the project after those names had been delegated. So this is just one example. That loss could have been averted if we could have made the companies in Africa to be aware of what is going on in ICANN, especially with regard to the policies. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Waudo. It's a pleasure. And I heard you mentioning IP address, and getting out of the BC slightly there to go into another constituency, but it's okay. It's well understood. Well understood.
Thank you.
Kilio, if you are there, I just want us to have what does a typical ICANN BC meeting looks like. If members joining, can you remember your very first ICANN BC meeting that you attended? How was the call like? Yusuf Kilio.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, as an alternate member of AfICTA to the BC,
yes.
What does a typical ICANN BC meeting look like?
Actually, it was a great experience because I get to learn a lot of things and get myself to be involved in policy, contribution on policies, groups, and so on and so on. And I get to meet a lot of great people actually. And to be sincere, I'm actually very grateful, and I find it very very important things. And I think it's something that most of people who are not in yet should think of getting in, so that they can get to experience this wonderful experience that I've managed to get into.
Okay, thank you, Kilio. And another point I would like you to touch is how Africans, do we make marks? Are we giving voices to speak, or are we suppressed? Is this something that is free for us?
Actually, as I've said yesterday, it's not that we don't get to be given opportunity to talk, but the problem is we as African, actually, we are not getting ourselves outside so that it can be seen. You can find a lot of African countries are not really contributing, or don't get in front, or get on a front line, so that they can be able to get opportunity to address issues, to talk, and so on and so on. It's all about ourselves to be well organized and to move to the right direction, so that we can have we can be able to be seen and contribute as much as we should. But basically, myself, if you ask me, I can say we are not really doing good the way I was expecting us to contribute to the world when it comes to many agendas that are out there.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to put in proper context, we have Dr. Waudo.
Yeah, well, just one thing I wanted to add.
Yes,
a quick one. Yeah, I forgot when I was making my talk about the policies. There's one very important principle in ICANN about policy making. Policy making in ICANN is bottom up. It's not top to bottom. So right at the top of ICANN, we have the board.
Oh, your phone is ringing again. Okay, I think if I may just take from there, what Dr. Waldo was trying to let us see that ICANN as a multi-stakeholders model uses multi-stakeholders model where everybody's opinion, brains are important. And Dr. Waldo, can you please take a pause? We just quickly wrap it up and move to another panel member. If you can hear
from right down from the lowest and the lowest constituent committees. So
okay, Yusuf, as you're about to wrap it up, I just wanted to put in another context that yes, perhaps Africans are not living to the billion as you rightly observed. However, if you check ICANN BC, compare with some other constituencies in ICANN, we just had elections and we have two Africans on the ESCO of ICANN BC. So we may put it in another context that ICANN BC gives opportunity to those that are willing to serve. So what I imply is that if you're an African and you want to serve, one of the best places for you to join is the ICANN BC, where if you show your mettle, if you're very good at what you do, you are welcome to get to the highest level you would like to get to in its service. We've said so much about what ICANN BC is and what members can benefit from. How do you become a member? What are the processes involved? And to join us in discussing this, I would like to call the founder of AfICTA and the very first chairman, the outgoing vice chairman of finance and administration, an African that is handing over to another African. And I think ICANN BC is just fantastic for Africans. I would like to welcome Dr. Jameson Olufui, the pioneer that has brought almost every one of us active in ICANN BC. I would like him to tell us, how do you become member of AfICTA? And how do you serve? In response to what Yusuf had said, how do Africans get their voices heard in ICANN BC? Dr. Jameson, please, if you're ready.
Yes, thank you very much, moderator, board member of AfICTA, Mr. Detola Shogbeson, and greetings, my fellow panelists, my incoming successor, Lawrence Lawale Roberts, and the veteran himself, Dr. Waldo Siganga. In fact, do you know that I met Dr. Waldo Siganga in BC?
Wow.
Dr. Waldo is the first African in the BC, but at that time, he was representing the World Information Technology and Services Alliance. At that time, we do not have an African, at least collegiate group organization. So Dr. Waldo is a great pioneer, and we need to give him the legendary award of the pioneer. So, and of course, it was AfICTA that became the first African organization to join the BC, invariably, and that was it. But before I go ahead, we need to pay respect to someone, really. Before I really go ahead, I really love that we pay respect to someone. This is a person that initiated the idea of outreaches. Is the same person that encouraged me to join AfICTA. She did everything to make sure I joined AfICTA. Even though I run my business, I'm so busy. So I said, what do I have? I don't have time for all this. And I've heard when I was president of ITAN that the white, they don't give a damn about you. So why bother? Some people gave me feedback that they don't even want you to use their name, ICANN. So I said, well, let them go to wherever they want to go. I'm not interested. But this was a lady that encouraged encouraged me in particular. So on the occasion of this outreach, may I humbly request that we have a mini silence in honor of Marilyn Cade, late Marilyn Cade, a mini silence. May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. And let me use the opportunity to also recognize Ariola Akinyemi, a member of BC, the panel as well, Kilio, the alternate. Well, as you know, many have spoken, and they've spoken generally and all well about what BC stands for and what we do. Yes, creating opportunities for us to get domain, in a competitive way, and to helping ICANN direct policies, okay, that will make internet to become more transparent, okay, and it's a platform where e-commerce can thrive. E-commerce can thrive. Many e-commerce companies you see today is because of ICANN and what's been done. And of course, the last point where I'm particularly interested in, my company is interested in, that is ensuring that the ICANN is stable, secure, and resilient. I run an IT firm. We build data centers. We help our clients manage their data centers. So we are at the cutting edge of ensuring there is no cyber attack. When we had other protests recently in Nigeria, there are a lot of data centers have been attacked. We saw them. It was heavy attack. And so if we are not fortified, you just fall victim. So we saw all the footprints, and even the CBN was hacked during that period, but none of our clients suffered it. So we are interested in the business of the BC. On those policies, we want, like yesterday we talked about abuse, how to mitigate it. It's part of why my company, Contemporary Consulting, is interested in the BC and ensuring that the policy articulated the foster the further protection of the internet space, wherein the DNS identifiers play a critical role. There are other technologies in the internet, like the DOA, okay, like the new identifier they're talking about now, but the DNS is the most reliable that we know now, and it will be with us for quite a while. So we're interested in that, and that's what we use in our businesses. So the BC, as Dr. Wando said, is part of the bigger family in ICANN. The bigger family in ICANN, bringing everybody around the world. And some of the work I did really helped ICANN too, where it is now. Because there was a time the global government, they wanted to take over the work of ICANN. They want to bring it to ITU so that it will only be government alone. And you know what it is? If it's government alone that is handling the internet, then you can see a lot of blackout. In fact, all this one, they are pleading with us to have social media law. You will just find out they will just impose social media law immediately. And they could just do whatever they like. And for the fact that global business has been liberalized, now we have private sector investment heavily in the internet infrastructure. So the business, they have to be on the table. So those are the arguments I had the privilege of making while in the working group of the United Nations, when we were talking about bringing ICANN into ITU, the work of ICANN into ITU. And we said, no, as private sector, we want a place where we can speak. ITU does not allow us to be part of the decision. We can't make decisions. We can't vote in ITU. ITU is a treaty organization. So we in ICANN, in the BC, we can vote. Our voices are heard. And they listen to us. In fact, Lawrence, you see here, he has made some inputs that have changed policies drastically. There are many things we say that has changed policy drastically. So based on that, I happen to be one of the 5 business people in the United Nations working group, first on improvement to IGF, and then also on the CSTD, that is Commission for Science and Technology for Development working group on enhanced cooperation on internet governance matters. Okay, so it was in that place that we really made it clear that they should forget about bringing ICANN to ITU. And we even encouraged government that they should come to ITU, to ICANN. And government have come to ICANN. So in ICANN, we have the government section, we have the civil society section, we have the business section, like we business, And we have the academic, and civil, the academic and technical community section. That is talking about the registrars. So it's a multi-stakeholder system, ecosystem, which have been mentioned earlier by Riola, Waldo, and Lawrence. So it gives everybody opportunity. It's a global environment. So if you're not there, you are missing out. You need to be part of what is happening. These are the people that shape the direction of the internet. Now, talking specifically about the BC, BC is the most vocal, really. We are the most resilient in terms of ability to contribute. And the BC appreciate the voices of developing countries, because hitherto they say, oh, it's business, it's only the North America, only Europe that are speaking, or it's only Europe that are pushing the agenda. But by being there, we're able to show that, yes, we are part of the game. The South Side is part of the game. Africa in particular is part of the game, and our voices are being heard. And to the contrary to what Kilio said, why it was 0 in 2012, by the time we joined, now our presence is about 27%. We have more Africans, more businesses from Africa in the BC right now. So we need to bring in more. So the more, the better. And you know what? To join the BC is made so easy. When I came in, the fee to join is about $450, okay, to join. And if it is an organization, you'll be looking at about $750. And if it is a big organization, you'll be looking at about $2,000. So when I came in and I said, look, we want, it was reduced by half, thereabout. So it was reduced drastically, and it came to about $200. And even with that $200, African countries or developing countries still get 70% discount. We still get 70%. Those are the initiative I pushed forward, and they accepted, okay? And our colleagues from the Global North, they accepted, and we're working together. So let's use this window. Come on in and be part of it. You find out that your membership is just about $60. To be a member, you just need about $60 to be part of it. And it's one thing to be part of it. It's another thing to just be looking. We cannot just be looking. We have to be involved. Active participation is very, very important. Because it's just a waste of money if you are just there and you are not part of it. Right now, there are openings for you to be part of the credentials committee, to be part of the finance committee. And so you can actually learn. It's a learning process. There are a lot of acronyms that could confuse you when you come in. Like Dr. Aldo said, CSG. He didn't say what is CSG. Everybody will be wondering, what is CSG? CSG means commercial stakeholder group. Those are the people using internet for commercial activities. So at least for us, we are users. Then we have others that are using the internet. They are defending their interest, intellectual property interests. There are others that are ISPs, the intermediaries. Okay, so we have the non-commercial. Okay, or those are non-commercial.
I hope you are preparing
Yes.
to run, Doctor. Okay,
yes. So we have different the groups. So you are welcome to join in. Don't be confused by some acronym when you come in, but be ready to learn. Okay. With regard to the officers of the BC, I will just show you this last. Share my screen quickly. So this is the BC's website. That is biscons.org. biscons.org, visit biscons.org. These are the list of the officers. Okay, you saw Claudia Selly of AT&T, Next Choice, e-commerce, Steve DeBianco is the vice chair for policy coordination. Here I am. So my picture will be out of there by the new year. And this is the current CSG. Dr. Waldo will be coming here by the new year. So these are the councillors. These are the executive of the BC. Now to join in, you just simply go to join us. Okay, you can see the details. So telling you there are 3 categories. You can see where we are here, $200. So you could still get further discount. The discounts could be removed after a short while. But I said now he's still there. I don't know if Lawrence will move for the discount to be removed, but I'm sure he won't move for that. He will resist it.
We will remove him.
Okay, so then you just go ahead and fill in the form. Okay, complete the membership form. And once you complete membership form, within 14 days, they will get back to you and you'll be part of the community. These are all the policy positions that have been articulated over time. So you want to know what the BC opinions or perspectives are, you can see them, all our positions, and they are all aggregated. They are all taken into consideration. So, that is about the BC from my perspective. We are working stronger. Let's do more. Let our voices be heard. Let's play a more active role, and let us invite others as we're inviting you, join in, and let us let our voices be strongly heard.
Thank you so very much.
Back to you,
Thank you very much, outgoing Vice Chair, Finance and Admin, doing a very great job. I'd allowed some more minutes because you are the ESCO of ICANN BC here. And instructively, like I mentioned earlier, when you saw the ESCO, there was only Dr. Jameson that was from Africa. But from January 1st, we're beginning to see Dr. Wahudu as ESCO member, and we have Lawrence Olawale Robert as ESCO member. That's an improvement, if you ask me. And it boils down to two factors. Number one, more numbers of Africans participating in ICANN BC, that's number one. Number two, qualitative representation of this African, not just I'm there because I'm African, therefore it's my color that is important. ICANN BC does not understand colors, to be fair. They understand your contribution. So if we see that it used to be Dr. Jameson, now it's going to be two colored participants on the ESCO. It could be 4, it could be 5 in the future. It is not the color of their skin, it is by contribution. And I'm sure the BC, we've found this so strange come meetings in January when Dr. Jameson is not speaking about our budget and a membership position. Members will wake up to see who is this new voice. Incidentally, it's a good name that they have known already. That presupposes that when you are active and participate very constructively, there is always a reward of recognition down the line. We urge members on this participating in this at this session to please speak to their members and let's see how more members we can have joining ICANN BC. As I wrap up, I would want to ask, do you have 1 more minute to spend, Lawrence or Ariola? Do you have 1 more contribution to make? Or Yusuf, do you have 1 final, before we now go to question and answers? 1 minute if you have anything to say, quickly just add. Ariola, you can be on standby as Lawrence is speaking.
So the most important point has been covered, which is I penned down a few benefits to membership. We talked about the 70% rebate on the membership fee. There's also a mentorship and leadership facility that can bring members from the global south to ICANN meetings. There is, decision making is bottom up. We work with the multi-stakeholder model, so whatever you have to say is welcome. You might feel it's not important. You don't have to be experienced, but your voice is the most important tool that you bring to the table. And one other good thing is that in the BC, you find very large companies, corporates, the likes of Facebook, Google, and all that. And you also find very small companies like the one that I run. Each and every person has a voice, and that voice is the key. So we're asking you to bring your voice on board. You might not have been doing anything in policy before. It doesn't matter. Once you step into the room, you begin to learn and you are able to add more value as you go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a very valid one. Ariola, what if you'd like to add one or two words?
Okay, thank you. Naturally, coming into the BC can be overwhelming for most people, especially for those of us in the global south. But there are opportunities that you could actually take up. There's also the fellowship program, like it was rightly said, the acronyms can actually be very intimidating. I remember when I came on board, it took me, I usually get lost on meetings. I don't know what they're talking about, but with time and dedication, and that is where reading a lot, you would read a lot to learn these things. The fellowship program is an opportunity that you could also key into, with which you can, it offers you an opportunity to attend a face-to-face meeting or even the virtual meeting. And at that point, you learn about the various constituencies. And interestingly, there's also the I Can Learn platform where you could also key in and, learn those things and know about those things and then improve your engagement. And once you engage, you find yourself where you want to be. Thank you.
Bravo, thank you. That's a very valid one. I Can Learn is very important. Incidentally, one of the things late Marilyn Cade had fought against was that we had low turnover from the fellowship to I Can BC. But it's an opportunity for us to explore if we have the opportunity to join the fellowship. But you can't even join the fellowship anymore without I Can Learn anyway. So it may be good for any members of AfICTA or participants here to please go to I Can Learn, get a few details known before attempting to join I Can BC. It may help. It's not exhaustive though, but it could help. And Yusuf, one final word from you, if you have any. If you don't, then I would like to call Dr. Gypsy to wrap up for us.
Okay, thank you, Tola. You see, the effort of one woman, Marilyn Cade, really reverberated, and it has helped a lot. I just want us to take something away from this, that we should do something for the community. We should help others. We should encourage others. Because when we encourage others, we're helping ourselves, we're helping our community. The state of Africa today is because we don't have champions that are ready to do something for others. We don't have many. People are not so much concerned about bringing others or doing something for others or for other people's interests. We need to do more of this to get our continent out of darkness. Let more of us be involved. Let our issues be made clear. Let more people talk against anti-people laws like internet shutdown. There are a lot of government thinking about internet shutdown. If we have more people that are enlightened, they will make a lot of noise, they will talk, and it won't happen. So it is by being involved, by being aware, that we can really help our community and take Africa into the new realm of transformed continent and a prosperous society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it's a wonderful session for I Can BC. We've had so many outreaches, but I can say this is one of the best BC outreach in AfICTA that I have experienced in a couple of years. And we want to use this opportunity to thank I Can BC from the ESCO to the last member for always supporting AfICTA. We look forward to more support. Lawrence is coming in as the vice chair. Please remember, AfICTA has always been a good partner with I Can BC, and we will probably want in your tenure as the vice chair of finance and admin that we benefit more from I Can BC. As you can see, that AfICTA is bringing a lot of values from Africa to I Can BC. And we hope in your tenure we'll be able to benefit more. Thank you so much, Dr. Jimson, for making this happen. And we want to thank every representative of AfICTA or on on ICANN BC for making it profound, not letting Africa down. Apart from AfICTA members, I'm not representing AfICTA in the BC. Dr. James is not representing AfICTA. Ariola is not representing AfICTA. So we are Africans, and first and foremost, and we are in Africa, ICANN BC. However, all of us on the BC have one thing in common. AfICTA had brought us up together. We've seen the BC outreach when we attend AfICTA summits, and we fill the form, and today we are members of ICANN BC. Dr. James, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just to say that in 2018, after I left the chairmanship of the AfICTA, so I ceased to represent AfICTA on the BC, and then I now represent my company, Contemporary.
Yes, we know. I think I did mention that it's only two of them now. The rest of us, anyway, just like I said, Dr. Jimson, all of us in ICANN BC, we always trace our roots to AfICTA. Somehow.
Yeah, most of us, yes.
Almost all of us. So once we attend AfICTA Summit like this one, we always see the physical form that are distributed that we feel eventually. And thank God you have shown us on the internet how we can do that in the comfort of our rooms, our offices. Yeah, you want to say something?
The secretariat wants to take a picture, so maybe you want to show your video so that we take a group shot. For the BC newsletter, which the incoming will be publishing soon. So
yes, secretariat, are you ready?
We can't see you.
Yeah, I'm switching over to my phone. Okay, I'll leave this on.
So anybody that can turn on their video, please do.
Okay, so I'm still waiting for the moderator. Mr. Tola, what happened?
We can do with his mock shot in the interest of time.
Okay. So, okay.
Oh, okay, it's here now.
Captured.
Okay.
Say Corona. Smile.
We have no business in Corona.
Oh, we have someone else joining.
Yes. Yeah, we just see the old man there. I saw the old man.
Okay, so I have it captured.
All right, thank you. Conference chair, I don't know if you are there.
Is it all?
Yeah. Oh, Yusuf, you have something to say?
No, I was wondering whether the speech was only for panelists or everyone.
We announced that anybody that has video to turn on their video.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tola, much appreciated.
All right, thank you. So that's the end of the session. Thank AfICTA for giving BC this opportunity, and we thank ICANN BC for having this outreach and AfICTA. Over to you, Tamu. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw there was a question on the chat. I think maybe they might have missed a demonstration on how to actually register and be a member. The question is just basically saying, please show us how to do it. Can we have somebody to answer it and give the link on the question? I think the question.
Yes, I think that has been handled. That has been taken care of.
Yeah,
I demonstrated it on.
It was done, and the website was shown. But for emphasis, we can ask Secretariat to share it on the chat group today.
It's already shared. The link is already shared.
Yeah, much appreciated for that. But before we can close, I think there is also this question that lingers in my mind. I know what we found. We just heard. We heard a very strong message about business making sure that their voice is heard and making sure that they partake in policy making. They have to be part of that process. And over to that, I think Dr. Wado actually emphasized the issue of having a strong voice. So strong voice is a united African voice. It's not us going there, we are 20, but we are all fragmented. It's a very strong voice is us going with one voice while we are 20. Very, very critical point that I heard. But the question that is lingering in my mind is actually two questions. One question is the fact that small businesses, as it is, they most probably do not have resources and funds to find themselves partaking in such structures. So they do not have maybe money to even register. They do not maybe have money to even have to fly to these meetings when they have to happen. Is that a challenge? And
Okay,
maybe
that's
touch
first
a little
question.
bit. If
Tabo,
we
that's
can touch,
first one. What's the second one?
if we can touch on that one, and I think the second one is with regards to the impact. What has been the impact of African business participation in this process thus
All
far?
right.
For example, if we
Thank
can
you
see
so much.
of that.
All right, thank you. That's a great question. I would like Lawrence to take question one. How affordable is ICANN meetings to African members, and what are the opportunities? And I would like Dr. Jimson to take number two. What has been the impact of African members joining the BC? Lawrence, question one.
So that is a very valid question. Even for, I mean, particularly for small businesses, but even for some mid-sized companies, it's very capital intensive to keep up with, 3 fiscal meetings in a year and to put the resources behind it. What the larger companies do is that they, employ staffs that make it a full-time responsibility. For the small businesses, one, you can leverage on associations like AfICTA. Trade associations in the BC make it a point of responsibility to be at these physical meetings and to, engage in policy discussions and stuff like that, and have a system of going back to the members that they represent, to decipher, to trickle down those information and also to engage them. For companies that would want to engage directly, there is first of all the fellowship program in the business, in ICANN, that brings people into the ecosystem on the bill of ICANN. The business constituency itself has a program where there is funding, there's travel funding for 2 business leaders from the regions in which those meetings take place to be able to come on board. And then there is also a lot of support here and there. In the past, we also used to have a means of providing some partial funding. Maybe for some would take a hotel, some could take the air tickets and stuff like that. And I'm sure those are some of the things we'll be looking at revitalizing. But bottom line, we recognize that there is that challenge. The BC itself has put in programs. ICANN itself have programs and for that. And it's also the responsibility of the person or the companies that want to engage to also look around for funds. There's some funding from organizations outside ICANN. I know AFINIC also does some form of sponsorship to IG meetings of this sort, but it's possible to look inwards around you and you might be able to just plan for, say, maybe plan and budget for 1 physical meeting while you can always join all the other meetings remotely. But there's value in attending the physical meetings. Networking is very essential. You get to meet people, you get to connect, you get to build relationships, and it is definitely worth the investment. In the earlier days when ICANN didn't provide funding and where the BC didn't provide funding, most of the veterans had to raise funds for themselves, to come into these meetings, hoping that when they do so, they're able to build the relationships that can sustain such engagement. And I encourage same. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good observation. Dr. Jameson, the second question, what has been the impact of African members joining the BC?
Okay, well, let me quickly dovetail from what Lawrence said. You know, there is a concept that developing countries need support. So on the basis of that, developing countries do get funding either from the United Nations activity or even ICANN, and also specifically BC. And to the contrary, the North, that is Europe, America, they are developed, so they don't usually get funding that we normally get, usually to support our activities. Just on that. Then with regard to impact of the Africans in the BC, it's been tremendous. We'll talk about it. Actually, cumulatively from the global south, yes, we're about 27% now in the BC. Africa in particular, 19% specifically. So our contribution has been phenomenal. You can see in the Dr. Waldo you see here is highly respected. When you mention his name, yes, they know that he's capable because he has been there for quite a while and he has represented the BC on many review teams. These are important review teams and he's contributed tremendously. Even the other time, the European Commissioner for Digital Economy told me, Negli Kraus, that he told me about Dr. Waldo that this guy is really well noted. I'm impressed with his contribution. He has never had this from my mouth. I never told him. Just now I'm telling him. So they value the contribution from the South. I tell you one day too, in 2012, while we were at the United Nations Working Group on Improvement to IGF, after I finished speaking, the UN DESA, that's the United Nations Department for Economic and Social Affairs, the representative said, oh, wow, it's so good to have voices, diverse voices. It's so sweet. I wish UN is like multi-stakeholder. So we brought great flavor to the BC. And I told you some time back, just not too long ago, that there was a time they were accusing the BC that it was only white, it's only American businesses. And that was when they themselves, they don't even realize that we're already there. And I had to tell our policy chief that, look, can't you see us? We're here. Africa is here. Our businesses too are important. And since that day, nobody accused BC that it's only for North America alone. So we brought a lot of value to the BC. We too have taken a lot of value, like I've gained a lot. I've learned a lot, really. I've learned a lot. I strengthened my business know-how. At least my clients are very, very confident. They know that I travel for these things and they have full trust or confidence in what we do. And also, there are opportunities coming up. You know, recently we had .Africa, new GTLD, and .Joburg, .Cape Town. Maybe down the line we can be having .Nairobi, .Abuja, .Lagos. Those are the things, benefit that could come, how they can also impact us. Our business level is very low right now. The domain name business in Africa is still poor. So we have great potentials. Those that see vision, those that see ahead, they also invest in this thing because it's going to grow. Like the way it's in North America and Europe is going to grow. So those that caught the vision early, they are going to benefit tremendously. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jameson. Thabo, over to you, please.
Thank you, much appreciated for that insight. I think the members and everyone who's in this call will appreciate knowing there's lots of value. There was diversity that has been brought in by Africa's participation into the BC, and we urge you as members and as people that are also in business to ensure that you get your voice heard. You can actually join. From what I heard as an answer is that there's a fellowship program that is running if you want to go directly. And also there's funding that is provided by the UN and ICANN. So they actually no excuse for not being part of this. Ladies and gentlemen, my time is now at 9:30. So I think this is the good time to bills. We are going to have some informationals and advertorials that are going to play for the next 30 minutes. You can still interact through the chat, interact with each other, exchange direct messages with each other. So as we strengthen the network, we will be back at 10 GMT, at 10 GMT, at 11 GMT plus 1, at 12 GMT plus 2. So those are the times. It's the time that we will come back. It's 30 minutes from now. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the break. And also,
but if there's still any question, people can feel free to ask questions.
Yes, you can continue asking questions. You can continue interacting. You can send direct messages if you want to have private conversations. Let's keep the ball rolling, and then and also let's get the networks running. I will see you in 30 minutes. Thank you. Enjoy your break.
My name is James Olufuye. I'm the chief of the Africa ICT Alliance, AfICTA, based in Abuja, Nigeria. I'm also the CEO of Contemporary Consulting, an ICT integration consulting firm. So I'm a member of the business constituency of the commercial stakeholder group and of the generic name supporting organization of the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. There are a lot of businesses that are going online these days, and many of them are in the developing countries where I come from, and these developed countries. So the business constituencies of ICANN want to reach out to businesses in other regions of the world to be aware of what we are doing. We need to be sure that the policies that ICANN develop, is consistent with the fact that the internet remains stable, remain trustworthy, and is a competitive platform for new domains to evolve, just as we are experiencing, the new domain regimes now in the ICANN ecosystem. So we need to reach out to many others like myself, CEOs of reputable organizations that are very, very active on the internet, but they do not appreciate the fact that we need to remain consistent. The internet needs to remain consistent to deliver the goods for the large majority of the people. Business is about, making profit to sustain, life and jobs and what have you. And so we should be interested in the future direction of ICANN, because that is the global organization responsible for ensuring that any policy regime we have, till the direction where the internet will go. And so that is why this important platform and opportunity to engage my colleagues elsewhere that, yes, why not? Come join us in the business constituency. Now is the time to be involved, be engaged. The survivability of your business is at stake. Internet requires your input for it to deliver the benefits for you, for your business, for your shareholders moving forward.
today with Claudia Selly and Steve Del Bianco, members of ICANN's Commercial and Business Users Constituency. This is a group that sits within the commercial stakeholder group of the Generic Name Supporting Organization. And you're going to tell us a little bit about what the BC is about, your members, as well as the policy topics that you focus on, I think. So welcome. And I think the first thing we should cover is what is the BC? What is the role of the BC, your mission within the GNSO and ICANN?
The business constituency's mission is to look after the interests of businesses who register domain names and business customers and users who rely upon the domain name system to reach the websites and email addresses of the businesses that have created them. And we really look at three priorities. We want the domain name system to be so trustworthy that businesses and their customers can be confident that they're getting to the domain name they were actually seeking. We also want to be sure that there's competition amongst all the different suppliers who provide domain name registration and registry services. And finally, we look for a domain name system where the unique identifiers are secure, stable, and reliable.
Thank you, Steve. And I can imagine that that must span quite a lot of interests, countries, and topics. Perhaps we can talk a little bit about your membership, who your members are, what your membership criteria is. So Claudia, would you mind telling us a little bit about those topics?
Of course. So BC members, as Steve has been saying, are usually internet business users that really use the internet to conduct their businesses. And we have small and large enterprises, and we are a very diverse group. In fact, we have, first of all, we have 76 members of the business constituency, and we have 13 members who are from Africa, 8 members who are from Asia, 10 members that are from Europe, and then 4 from Latin America, and the rest is North American businesses. So it's also, we are really diverse also in terms of gender. In fact, we have 32% of the business constituency enterprises are represented by women, and believe it or not, but in the leadership nowadays we have 4 women out of 6 officers. So this is very encouraging to see that there are more women stepping up, and I'm very happy, as you can imagine, about that. But also in terms of criteria, you have to be eligible to be a BC member. You need to be a business that is conducted business over the internet, and I mean, non-eligible members would be typically an NGO or a political organization or a registrant that would have more than 30% of their revenues in their business. And so we have a credential committee that actually is looking at the applications, and then they would, if they need more information, they would reach out to the people, talk with the people, and but we do all we can to get diversity, to get new members in, and we are a very welcoming group of people that try to engage these newcomers.
That's very encouraging, and clearly congratulations on enrolling a number of increasing members from across the globe, and obviously diversity is very critical to us here at ICANN. Steve, you outlined earlier the mission and the role of the business constituency. Maybe you could elaborate on that and tell us about the policy topics and issues that the business constituency tends to focus on at ICANN.
Yeah, one category of our focus is the governance of ICANN itself. And the BC was proud to have been the designer of most of the new mechanisms by which the ICANN community of registrants and users holds the ICANN organization and board accountable to that community as part of the transition out of the U.S. government oversight in 2016. And when we turn to policies that are cooking within the ICANN kitchen, we almost always are looking from the perspective of availability and integrity. The availability of registrations and resolutions in any language, 24/7, in any corner of the world. They need to be there for the business community to reach its customers. When it comes to the integrity of registrations and resolutions, we want to be sure that when you reach a domain name through an email or a website, that you're really reaching the website that you want it to. We want to be sure that there's integrity, that if promises were made about what you might experience within a given domain, we want to be sure that ICANN holds those parties to the promises they made. So it's about availability and the integrity of both registrations and resolutions.
And that seems to be a very important mission given the nature of business on the internet. Since we actually do want to have more newcomers and participants join the ICANN community, including within the generic name supporting organization, I was wondering if from the both of you, if you have any words of advice to newcomers who may be thinking of participating in ICANN policy making or possibly even joining the BC.
Well, I would start by saying don't be shy and don't be scared about the ICANN community. We know that it can be intimidating, but actually, if you recognize our face around an ICANN meeting that you are joining, please come to us, ask questions, and engage with the community. Every point of view counts. Every questions is legitimate and it's important. So we really value new ideas, really value new points of view, and we would be really happy to engage with newcomers.
Thank you. That generates a lot of other questions that I'm sure you'll be having people come up to you at ICANN meetings or reaching out to ask more about the business constituency and how to join. Steve, what do you think?
One of the most complex ways of entering ICANN is to walk into a meeting where you're encountering acronyms that mean nothing to you, or you're trying to understand arcane processes that you've never seen before. And the only antidote for that is to hook up early with another BC member that speaks your language, shares your culture. And I can promise you the BC member that's there to help you will explain some of these intricacies and complexities so that you can better appreciate why it's relevant to your business.
Thank you so much. Certainly this is a very welcoming community, and there are plenty of mentors, including the two of you, I should think. And so thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for telling us a little bit about the business constituency. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the new IBM HyperProtect Accelerator program.
I'm really excited to be here today as well and launch our IBM HyperProtect Accelerator program. We're focusing on fintech and health tech startups, less than $1 million in revenue, less than 5 years old, so early stage founders. And it's all about keeping your sensitive data safe. We know that there are often, security breaches that we see in our social media, we hear about every day, and we think that instead of categorize it into 3 components, one being technology, so cloud credits, up to $120,000 in cloud credits over a 1-year period, access to mentorship, so we'll provide both technical and business mentorship for 1 year virtual. So regardless of where you live in the world, this is available to you. And up to 2 years of technical mentorship from expert IBM engineers that can help you with your cloud storage, can help you with the HyperProtect product, blockchain, AI, all of the cool stuff that IBM has to offer.
So tell me a little bit about the selection process then and who you're targeting specifically.
Yeah, perfect. So I think the selection process is really all about choosing the best and brightest and most innovative solutions that are fintech and or health tech. And then I think the interesting opportunity for these partners, in addition to the stuff that I talked about previously, is co-marketing. Bringing IBM to the table when you're having, your conversations as a startup, whether that's with the VC community, angel investors. Our application process is pretty straightforward. You'll see that we only have a handful of questions, and we've really tried to streamline the process. A lot of startups are often applying to a lot of different programs, and there's a lot of stuff available out there, and hopefully ours, sets itself apart. And on behalf of the IBM Linux One team, we look forward to reviewing your applications. Melissa Sassy from IBM. I am incredibly excited to be sponsoring today's conference and also serving as a panelist and a keynote speaker, where I talk about three main topics. Number one, the startup program that I run globally. It's called IBM HyperProtect Accelerator.
have a business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng. Do you have a business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng. Do you have a business? Do you have a business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng. Media integration and cybersecurity assurance at affordable business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng. A business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng. Business? Let's help you put it online and reach potential customers easily. From website development to domain name registration, robust web hosting, social media integration, and cybersecurity assurance at affordable cost and excellent customer support. Visit www.ng.ng.
Welcome back to the second installment of the day, and this is our panel 5 that's going to come through. I think we actually had some interesting talks earlier on in the day about the ICANN BC outreach panel. I hope you have taken it to heart, and also for businesses to be part of the policy-making process. It's very imperative to influence these processes and the policies that comes out. At this point, I've got the next panel, which is our last panel for the summit, is on ICTs. Whether ICT is it central, just to have that realization of it being central to the sustainability development goals of 2030 from the UN. This will be moderated by my colleague, Paul Roney. I see Paul is here already. The last time I saw him, he was busy somewhere here in South Africa, installing some TV white space, dealing with that. We appreciate the good work that has been employed, especially in the rural areas. Very good work there indeed, Paul. I will just give over to Paul to take over the moderation of the next panel. Paul, come in.
Yeah, thank you, Tabo. Paul Rowney, for those that don't know me, I'm one of the board members of AfICTA. And yeah, I wear a couple of hats. This is an interesting panel. It's an area that I'm quite passionate about, and that is bridging that digital divide, which is part of this Sustainable Development Goals. So we have an interesting interesting topic. Our topic is to look at ICTs as central to the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals and concerted efforts towards improving living standards and the ground that needs to be covered to achieve that. We have quite a distinguished panel. Many of those you've already been met and been introduced to. We have Bob Ocheng, who is Bob with us. We also have Hossam Agnal, our chairperson of AfICTA, Dr. Wadu Sigana from Kenya, Eric Sindhu, and Dr. Jimson Lufay. So when we look at the SDGs, these are critical aspects for us achieving a better world. The UN has 17 goals, 169 targets, that if we do implement, we will live in a better world. And these goals are not unrealistic, but we're not meeting them. So there's a lot of ground that needs to be covered. The UN has set a target of 2030 for countries to strive to achieve these. And whilst it's important to achieve them, moving closer towards those goals is also an achievement. So we shouldn't understate the work that countries have already taken and individuals have taken to achieving those goals. So what we're going to do in this session is each of our panelists is going to have a short 5-minute intervention to give their thoughts on how this is impacting the world, how we can implement it, and what we need to do as countries, individuals, trading blocks, continents, etc., to actually meet these sustainable goals. I'm going to open the floor in order of how I actually have them. So I'm actually, if Bob is ready, I'm going to hand the floor over to a quick minute intervention on his thoughts on this particular topic, and in particular around the SDGs and how we can implement them, keep them, and hopefully make the world a better place. So Bob, if you're ready, I'm going to hand the floor to you for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Apologies for the slight delay. I was dropping off from another call. But nonetheless, I am happy to really join the session and contribute in this very eminent panel. And I want to speak largely from the position of, the role of a sub-element of the ICT sector as envisioned in general. Most of the time, I think, when we talk about ICTs, I think it is not narrowed down and it spans quite a very wide spectrum of industries. And I think for the ICT's vision element of the SDGs to be realized, a number of these subsectors within the ICT spectrum as a whole really needs to be looked at holistically. For example, you could have, the financial sector, and you have ICTs there. You have agriculture. You have something to do with ICTs there. The other part of that discussion is what those of us within the ICANN ecosystem call the DNS sector. Now, DNS is most of the time looked at as a technical kind of element, okay? That
allows us to, get from one part of a resource to the next. If I want to get to the AfICTA's website, I use the DNS. So it plays a technical nature in that manner. But on the other side, the DNS is a very elaborate business industry. And in fact, some of the very big names in the ICT sector are players in the DNS industry. If you want to talk about VeriSign, if you want to talk about Affiliates, if you want to talk about GoDaddy, they are known to be players in the DNS industry and specifically the business part of it. And I'm saying this because I strongly believe that, and now putting my, experience for Africa hat, and focusing on this particular element of the ICT subsector, the DNS industry in Africa, as critical in helping realize the overall ICT's mandate as envisioned in SDGs. So the question that probably I want to elevate in this discussion is, to what extent have we considered, to what extent have we looked at our DNS subsector as a key contributor to this particular important debate on realizing the overall potential of ICTs in Africa? There is a role to play by the DNS subsector from a business perspective. So hopefully, as the discussion starts in earnest, I'll be able to share with you, I think, our thoughts around some of the things that we think could be done to ensure that this particular subsector is elevated and able to contribute its fair share of potential, just like it is doing in fintech today in Africa and other subsectors. So with those few remarks, my name is Bob Ochieng. I'm Senior Engagement Manager for ICANN, looking after Southern and Eastern Africa. And I'm very glad to join the eminent panel today. Thank you very much. And back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Bob. Brilliant timekeeping. So we hear from Bob, the DNS is key to the SDGs, and there's challenges around language and the dominance of English around the DNS. So this make it more accessible as these changes come into play. I'm now handing the floor over to Hossam for a quick intervention. Thank you, Hossam.
Yes, good day, everyone. Morning for some, noon for others, and afternoon for others. It is quite an interesting topic. It's a topic that captures a lot of passion. Well, before bringing attention to the relation between the ICTs or digital transformation or Industry 4 ways that Sustainable Development Goals, key elements, in fact, or challenges or requirements are necessary to see then how we can bring value from ICT and digital transformation to the SDGs. Access infrastructure, and we all talk about access infrastructure. Access infrastructure is a key element in order to be able to see the impact of ICTs and digital transformation. And it is picking up everywhere. It is not yet in many rural areas in our continent, but it is picking up. And of course, it is partially picking up because of the availability of the mobile operators as well. And this brings us to the second point, is cost of access. Cost of access is a major issue we are still facing in many countries. And this is something that needs a lot of collaboration, efforts, and policies to achieve many of the SDGs, especially the equality part of it, through having an affordable access. And along with infrastructure for access, cost of access, policies required for access, for privacy, for security, for data sharing. Because once we have a good access And we are starting to capitalize on this, using it with content, with data exchange, with application solution, etc. Then we figure out that there is risks. Privacy become an issue. Also security, where system can be knocked down, is an issue. And of course, who has the right to do what, when, and where is an issue. And those policies, while starting to be available through the Internet Governance Forum, through many venues, through the African Union Commission, but in fact still needs to be done to consolidate efforts with that regards. This said, I want to share, to highlight how much important is, in fact, ICT or Industry 4 or digital transformation at large to the SDGs. When I go through the SDGs, I will find that maybe 13 out of the 17 SDGs are affected and can be achieved partially with proper use of ICTs. Ending poverty along with employment can have a lot of potential using ICT to opening new venues for work, for SMEs to compete instead of local level, compete on national level and also on international level, and also for many, along with achieving gender equality, disadvantaged people help working from home, especially with the COVID-19. We are discovering now the importance and the good use of the possibility of working from home that helps many people still be in business and not put it down. The part of ending hunger, the goal number 2, the nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, along with the educational life learning, all of those with better data acquisition, big data analysis, proper decision support system, it is much better, there would be much better capability to secure the required food, medicine, education to the right segment, critical needs, and much less waste, much less misuse of those programs would take place. Goal number 6, the availability of sustainability of water is sanitary for all. In fact, many of our countries have already water and sanitary stations, but with the proper use of SCADA system, digital transformation, we are able to minimize the waste and to optimize the efficiency, and also be able to identify where the breakdown of the system is there and make the proper predictive maintenance. Other goals have the same. I can highlight it, but I don't want to take more time for now. I return this back to Paul, but if there is more time, I will talk about the other goals as well. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Osam. And this is the key. You know, ITs underlines the SDGs, and as a continent, if we fail to participate in the 4th industrial revolution as equal partners, you know, our ability to meet those SDGs is weakened. I'm going to hand over to Wadu now. Wadu, are you there? Wadu, are you available to speak now?
Yeah. You can hear me now?
Yes,
Hello?
we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just trying to switch on my my microphone. I hope there is not some background noise. Yeah.
It's good. A little, but it's good.
I don't. It's okay. Yeah. So
Yes,
basically,
it's okay. We can hear
yeah, I can say that the ICTs have a central role to play in the meeting the 17 SDGs. A very big central role, and I think that also has been recognized by the UN when they came up with these SDGs. And I think the usage of the ICTs can be looked at from the perspective of country usage, regional usage, and international from the international front. So if we go through some of the SDGs, for example, if I take this one that is trying to, the second SDG that is trying to eliminate hunger, global hunger by the year 2030. How can ICTs be used in this particular goal? Everybody knows that for farmers to be productive, they need to be data-driven practices. The better information that a farmer has, the better his yield. For example, if a farmer can get information about the weather or anticipated weather patterns that can help him in planting or raising his crops, if you can get information about where to get things like medication for his livestock, if you can get information about which markets to buy his inputs for farming or markets for his products, all this can contribute to the goal of ending hunger by the year 2030. If I look at a goal like the third goal, which is on health, we know a lot of health systems in Africa have actually had problems in the past, all because of lack of good information or good information systems. These days we have what is known as health informatics and telemedicine, and if this can be applied in many of the developing countries, this can go a long way in helping to improve the health systems. We even have telemedicine, whereby we don't need to have doctors spread all over the place. Doctors can be able to perform medical procedures and operations and so on using digital facilities. So in that way, ICTs can also go a long way in helping to improve, to reach those SDGs, particularly that one of health. The education sector, the SDG 4, that's also one in which ICTs can play a very crucial role. In Kenya, we have a program for digital skills, whereby the children have been given tablets right from the time they start primary schools, so that they can use these tablets as education tools to get access to more content, educational content, and the use of ICTs in the education system is progressive all the way up to the universities. So ICT is recognized as an integral part of the education system right from the beginning, and it has been shown that once ICTs are employed in the education system, the ability of the learners to get access to information and knowledge is greatly improved. Maybe if I can just talk one more. I know there are many SDGs. I can't mention all of them. Clean water, for example, that is the SDG number 6. ICTs can be used to help with the sourcing of clean water, to find out where the water is available using satellites and this kind of technologies. And once the water has been accessed, also we have some systems, for example, the urban smart water management systems that are used also to clean already used water and recycle it. So there are many ways in which this SDGs. I think I'll leave some of my colleagues to deal with some of the others because 17 of them are many, and I think each and every one of them can be can have some level of ICT application to improve or to reach that goal in the stipulated time up to 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Odu. And this highlights again, how cross-cutting it is, from enabling telemedicine and creating clean water, creating new markets and opportunities for our citizens. And, the relevance of the pandemic, this has really highlighted that divide that we have from digital access.
Exactly.
I'm now going to hand the floor to Eric for his inputs. Thank you. Eric, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this speaking opportunity on the SDG as it relates to the ICT field. I've said it many times. For us developing countries, getting development goes through this digital revolution. We know we have about 17 SDGs shown to us by the UN. Out of those 17 SDGs, I'm going to talk particularly about them. The first one is no poverty. In order for us to reduce poverty, we need to promote innovation through digital technology. Same thing with quality education. The digital revolution gives us an opportunity to gain knowledge, to gain access to knowledge very easily. We don't need to buy expensive books. We just need a stable and affordable internet connection. The SDGs, decent work and economic growth. Decent work, in the digital field and with innovation, our youth, they shouldn't just rely on, looking out for a job. They can innovate, they can develop their own application. And that's the beauty of the digital field, of the ICT field. And for that to happen, we need infrastructure. We need our countries to develop infrastructure. We need conducive policies pertaining to the ICT field. We need to better our education. I already spoke about the new field into our education, talking about blockchain technology, AI, cybersecurity. We need to teach our children so they can become experts in those new fields. That's the way of the future. I can also talk about peace, justice, and a strong institution. That's the SDG number 16. I want to talk about it because in most of our developing countries, we mostly have issues with elections. Elections, we need, in order for us to have a very good governance, we need to have transparent and credible elections. And with the in the ICT field, with the blockchain, we can adopt an elective form based on blockchain technology that is more credible, and in return, I think we will have increased a better governance, and that's going to promote peace in our countries. For the last goal I want to talk about is partnership for the goals, and that's exactly what we are doing right now with AfICTA, with global institutions like IGF, We need to further the partnership, share ideas, share good practices, so we can all get to attain all those SDGs. So I want to repeat myself. The grounds to cover for us, the first thing is infrastructure. Infrastructure is backbone access. Infrastructure is developing IXPs. Second thing is conducive policies. Third thing is education. Fourth thing is e-government. We need to develop the e-government so all the citizens can get access to public services. We also need to promote innovation. And last, we need to improve the governance. So I think that's it for now. I'll be ready for any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And a couple of points that I think came across there is around good practice and governance. And this is something that we need to drive the SDGs. They need to be prioritized. And of course, infrastructure, it is the key. It underlines the challenges, and we have those infrastructure gaps on the continent that we need to fund and bridge. I'm now handing the floor over to Jimson for the last intervention of this phase of the panel discussion. Jimson, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, and greetings, everyone. I'm trying to also share my screen. I think I can share it now. Yes, I can. Okay. I believe you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, firstly, to recognize all my colleagues on the panel, and to also acknowledge all the inputs as very valid. But let me begin by saying, when they talk about ICT, we in the industry, we equate that to internet. When you're talking about ICT, we're talking about the internet. And then also, when you're talking about the internet, as Bob also talked about, we look at the underlying point, which is the DNS, the technical part. But this day we're looking at, okay, beyond the technical part, looking at how do you use the internet to create wealth. So from what we can see, this is the Sustainable Development Goal agenda put in place by the United Nations in 2015. Before this, we have MDGs, 2015, MDG goals. But so sad that Africa, no African country, none met the requirement for MDGs. It was quite bad, it wasn't good at all. And if we don't work hard, if we don't focus, we will not realize the SDG 2 by 2030. 2030 will just come and we will find out that we have not achieved it. Whereas countries of the Middle East, yes, like say UAE, Qatar, they all surpassed the MDG. The MDG is 2015, they surpassed it. So we're looking at all these 17 goals. Looking at all these 17 goals, I can say clearly, if you just address poverty, if you say no poverty, then things like zero hunger will take care of itself. Like, what do we do to make sure there is no poverty? Get people jobs, okay? And now we're talking about Industry 4.0. We're talking about a digital economy. So like even in Nigeria, 17.8% of our GDP is from ICT. So are the people getting jobs? We need to get people to have jobs. When people purchasing power has increased, they'll be able to take care of food, hunger, be able to eat, they'll be able to at least access, the health information. They'll be able to buy data easily. Okay, they can go online to learn, and so on and so forth. So number one, actually, from my perspective, take care of all. If you can address the issue of that poverty, the purchasing power of the people, getting them jobs, then you can tackle what remains. And ICT is an opportunity for us. So the bottom line is that people need to be informed. If people are not informed, it is said that they are deformed. It is said that they will become unaware. And it's only what you are aware of that you make capital of. So for that to happen, I believe in our countries, number one, we need to have stable and people-centric political governance system. Okay, I believe once there is freedom of information, information will go round easily. Okay, and then as has been mentioned by Eric, Dr. Waudo and others, and the chair, AfICTA, regulation matter, policies matter, flexible policy frameworks, very, very important. Is the policy that should drive demand, as was well discussed yesterday by Kemabonta during the infrastructural deficit discussion. Okay, there is absolute need for that to be some policies that drive demand, like e-government, as I also mentioned earlier. Once government digitize their system, Engineer Hani also mentioned it yesterday, transformed Africa, okay? Talking like a transform Africa. So digitize everything. Dr. Wado talk about farmers too. Give them the opportunity to access information, weather information, fertilizer information, market information, and how to receive payment. Enable them to make payments easily. Then let everything be focused on open data architecture. So lastly, for my discussion, how do we know that a country is on the path of achieving SDGs? Let's be frank with ourselves. How do we know? Number one, as I mentioned, there has to be stable government with majority, at least buying. There has to be buying the governance structure, because if there's no buying, they will continue to strive on the governance structure, and then there'll be no progress. There won't be much progress. There might be progress. Like SDG, yeah, there was some progress, but there won't be real progress as we expect. Number two, then there has to be in-country SDG structure and focal leaders that are active and engaging. So we need to be sure we know the SDG focal offices in our countries. We need to engage them as well. Because if you don't engage, then there will also be that they will just, nobody is overseeing what they are doing, and we cannot ask questions. And so if you can't ask questions, if they are on the wrong path, they'll continue to be on the wrong path. So we need to call them out, we need to check them out. Number three, is there any national economic plan linked to SDG, either in phases? Is there an economic plan? We need to check that, okay, and link together. Then number four, are they measuring progress? Are they measuring progress? Maybe another 2 years or 3 years, where are we now? Okay, are they measuring progress? We should call them out to measure progress. And number five, regular peer reviews of reports. Peer reviews. This is where we have a big challenge in Africa. Let me be frank, even in Nigeria, when it comes to reports, when it comes to accountability, when it comes to peer review, we are poor at that, really. Let's be frank with ourselves. Because at the WSIS, the World Summit on Information Society, where all this thing evolved, you don't see many African nations coming up with reports, status reports, where they are, and then to peer review. I hope it's not that we have a position that, oh, we know it all. It is wrong to have such perspective that, oh, we know it all. Government should never come to the point that they know it all. It should be open to bring in the private sector, bring in the civil society, bring in the academic community. They're always sitting at the round table to see where are we. We're not just government trying to do it and do it alone. So peer review and then reporting, linking up with WSIS. Don't forget, WSIS goal is for information society. And the idea of sustainable development goal is going to be based on information society, digital economy. So we have a lot to do as businesses, even though the government might not be listening much, but let us continue to engage and then maybe change our strategy of engagement so that they'll be able to listen. So, but it's important we all work together to make it succeed. And when it succeeds, it means we are also succeeded. It means we are doing well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimson. And you've highlighted some of the challenges. We are failing to meet the goals. And, we're doing ourselves and our families a disservice by not achieving these goals. We're now moving into the second phase of this panel. I'm going to pose some different questions to the panelists, starting with Sam. And my question to Sam is, a key objective of the SDGs is that no one is left behind. What are some of the steps that the international community needs or should take to ensure that no one is left behind? Well, Sam, your thoughts, please.
Okay. As I started saying that access is critical, again, to have the IT to support the SDGs. In fact, I think that there are two main pillars critical. Access from one end, so access, cost of access, and policies related to access, but also proper capacity building program. Proper capacity building program, what we call it transformational national capacity building program, because so no one would be left behind. We need elder as well as youngsters to be able to utilize properly the tools, the ICT or the digital transformation tools, to benefit from those tools in achieving those SDGs. And most critical from one end is people in education and how they can be taught most advanced education using ICT, but also, and most important, related to people who are going to lose their traditional job due to the availability of proper ICT. And those would require, as soon as possible, transformational programs, so they would be ready to use the tools to achieve the requirement. This is in agriculture, this is in manufacturing, this is in commerce, this is in all aspects. So I think vocational and continuous education, national level transformational programs are a must to help people not left behind. And international community can consolidate efforts with that regards, because usually such programs can be availed from international vendors and can be availed mostly free of charge to less developed countries, so that they would be able to help citizens, especially vocational people, to migrate into the new era and be able to utilize the tools, the new digital tools to achieve the required. Otherwise, they will be left behind. But let me also move one more step. My opinion also that Triple P project, public-private partnership project, are must to be able for continent like Africa to move fast forward, because with the experience and the capabilities of international private sector, there is a possibility of providing infrastructure as a service, of upgrading infrastructure much faster, and of providing projects that are not country-based, but continent-based or regional-based. So to have much less cost for that project of access. And this would not leave people behind. This is an example, we have seen it here in Egypt, and I think many countries would face related to access mobile operators. You know, on some of the rural areas, roads that go into rural areas, mobile operators would be reluctant to put towers there. It costs a lot for them because not many people would be going there. So the solution is always to have the few operators that are there investing together in having that tower, or one of them would be renting the availability of the tower to the others. So the capex would be much less, and people would be really paying just for the amount required and providing proper service. Also, I think that investing in local startups is extremely important for international community to be able to bridge the gap between the available technologies and the localized needs that are there. M-Pesa is an example among others, but many solutions for healthcare and for agriculture, etc., really were from the existing countries, and all what was required is a proper investment and expertise to bring them forward to a larger scale and a bigger size. This is my 2 cents. Thank
you. Thank you, Sam. And you know, we shouldn't leave anyone behind. You know, if we do, then we have failed. And you know, if we look globally, you know, the countries with balanced societies are doing better in this new age. And right now, 50% of the world's population is not connected, and many of those that are connected, not meaningfully connected. So, and a lot of those live on our continent. I'm going to pose a question both to Bob and Eric. I'm going to give you 3 each just to respond to this. And the question, first to Bob and then to Eric, is what is the role of data-driven e-government in realizing the Sustainable Development Goals in developing economies? So, Bob, first, please.
Thank you, Paul. I hope I'm audible. So I'll put in a perspective on this question, which I think is a critical one. You know, when we talk about e-governance, and which is most of the time also confused with e-government, but I think largely you are talking about a scenario where government is using or is leveraging more and more data in terms of how it makes decisions and providing the same to its citizens. One critical thing that I believe is quite central to this being possible is governments opting more and more towards an open data policy frameworks. You know, Dr. Jameson earlier alluded about, you know, SDG number 2 on eradicating hunger. And he underscores that as simply providing opportunities, jobs, work for the population. And with that, by a very large extent, you can really deal with the hunger situation. Can you provide opportunities? And today, in a digital era, how does that happen? How can government and policymakers translate that? How can they provide these jobs? I strongly believe that one area that is lacking today is in the area of e-governance, or using data or leveraging data as a government to really address the question of employment. And I'll give an example here. We all know that governments are the biggest consumers in any particular economy of data. Equally, they are the biggest producers of data. In most of our jurisdictions or in developing economies, I don't know if it is a practice widely accepted in governments. Most data is mostly and first and foremostly branded as private and confidential, top secret. A lot of data that sits within governments are treated as, completely out of bounds. If you take an example of your vehicle on the road, which is registered and there are records in a government department somewhere, those records could include, the type of that vehicle, the color of that vehicle, the make of that vehicle, details that all of us can see on the streets. But that information is held by government and treated as confidential, as completely out of reach. And these are details sometimes which are required in a number of transactions in any day-to-day engagement with government by its citizen. For example, if I want to transfer my vehicle or sell it, the same applies to land, for example. In other words, there is a lot of data, running across the government sectors that could actually be provided to innovators and the youth who actually, make 70% of, I would say, Africa today, for them to innovate in. Why should I, go and line in a government department to do a search for a title deed for a vehicle if I can just send some text somewhere and that search is done on a database and returned back to me? But because that data is being treated as confidential by government today, we cannot have the youth innovate on it and leverage ICTs and by extension actually create meaningful jobs and opportunities for themselves. So in other words, both parties lose, and I think governments lose a lot. Sorry?
We need to close this section now.
Okay, okay. So I'm just saying that government needs to embrace open data policy, very critical, and there lies in the potential to really leapfrog the innovation potential in our youth. If I just use that point alone, I think if we achieved that, I would be happy. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Bob. It's very insightful. I want to move on to Eric, though, with the same question. In 3 minutes or less, please, Eric. The floor is yours. Do we still have Eric with us? I don't see Eric. Wadu, is Wadu still with us? I think some of them have dropped off as panelists. Okay, I'm gonna move on for time. I'm gonna pose a question to Jimson. Jimson, what will we need to change in Africa to enable ICTs for development and the achievement of the SDGs? So Jimson, 5 minutes. Thank you.
You said, what should we, please come again?
Yeah, the question is, what do we need to change in Africa to enable ICTs for development and the achievement of the SDGs?
Yes, we really need to change a lot of things. We need to change our attitude to our people. We need to listen to our people. Those in authority should not feel they know it all. They should be able to reach out to all other stakeholders, because we're in the business of making life better for our people. The bottom line is to drive our people out of poverty. We need to eliminate, corruption, and corruption comes when there is no transparency and accountability. So we need to make it possible for people to get education. Because once they are well educated, once they are informed, people will be able to make the decision that will best serve their purposes. So online learning, lifelong learning should be encouraged. You know, some people say that you must come to the campus, you must come to physical school. If you don't come there, then you are not certified. No, that must change. The education authorities should reflect on what COVID-19 has brought about, dependence, more dependence on ICT, on the internet. So I use that to leverage knowledge, education. Get people educated, get people informed, then they will know what to do. They will create opportunity, you know, for themselves, as the case may be, and open government as has well been mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimson. And you know, I think one of the challenges of connectivity is being highlighted in this session. You know, we've lost a couple of speakers. As we all know, connectivity on our continent is not ideal, and that's part of the key infrastructure towards achieving the SDG. I see Adu is back. I don't know if he can be promoted back to a speaker, but while he's coming back on a speaker, I just want to ask a question, and this question is going back to Bob actually. When we talk about data, you know, we read about these big foreign global tech companies, you know, that are controlling and often misusing data that's influencing global policy. So what can we do as a continent to address this, you know, that our data is protected and is used for good and not misused by global powers? I don't know if you have some thoughts on that, Bob, that you could share with us in 2 minutes.
Yes, Paul, very quickly, I would say that what we need outright and what I think is missing in most of our countries, which I think they're really working hard on, is the question about the policy framework around data. And on this, there are quite a number of laws or pieces of legislation that I think are relevant and necessary for us to participate in the data economy, if I can call it that, on an equal footing, sort of. Relevant privacy laws or data protection laws, and relevant because what we see also, the flip side of it is, you know, most jurisdictions trying to now come up with laws that are punitive, that punish, that stifle, you know, the participation of both governments and, you know, citizens in that particular data. Remember, this data belong both to government and to me as a citizen. So these laws should be, you know, approached from the perspective of standards, not really targeting certain things, but really making it a fair framework that enables not only, you know, big players or big tech, as we call them, but also helps nascent SMEs that are coming up from the respective jurisdictions to also come up. Because on one hand, you need the same data that is today resident in big tech to help propel startups to somewhere. So I would say relevant and, you know, data governance laws that, you know, be they data privacy laws, be they cybersecurity laws, be they computer, you know, misuse laws, be they electronic transaction laws, that are actually framed and crafted as standards, as best practice frameworks that allows both entities to participate on an equal footing, not really targeting an entity, but promoting that what you can call co-opetition and coexistence between both players, citizens, governments, big tech, startups, so that we can both participate on an equal footing on the data economy. In the absence of that, one party will always, almost certainly, exploit the other. It doesn't have to be government. It could be big tech. It could be government. So I think when that is missing, the ground is not even, and a lot can be actually are missed in that particular element. So I would stick to really ensuring that we have the complete set of relevant data governance laws. And these are not just data privacy laws. It is a whole set that includes the privacy laws, electronic transaction laws, cybersecurity laws, and I'm missing the cybersecurity laws and computer misuse laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That highlights, you know, we need to get these common regulations laws so that we can enforce these policies, will enable us to better share information, particularly across the continent, and also filter out some of the bad data that's being fed back to us. We have a couple of minutes left. I'm just going to give Wadu 1 minute now, just to say one thing about his thoughts on what we need to change in Africa to enable ICTs for development and achievement of the SDGs. So Wadu, you have 1 minute now. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I think I'll be very fast. I'll just summarize it. What we need to change in Africa is actually what is known as the 3 A's about technology, about ICT. That is availability, affordability, and accessibility. Because you can have the best technology in the world, but if this technology is not available, it's not going to be of any use. If it's not affordable, it's not going to help anybody. And if it's not accessible, its usefulness is really restrained. So those are the 3 things. What can we do about availability in Africa? Availability means having this technology in all the areas of rural areas, places where marginalized people live, in the slums and so on. This technology must be available there. So there are 2 main providers. There are this private sector and this government. Each plays its own role. But for the private sector to play its proper role, the government should make sure that there is an enabling environment for the private sector to play that role. I'll just give you a quick example. In Kenya, we have what is known as universal access strategy, whereby it was noticed that the commercial operators of telecommunication services were not willing to go and invest in like in the very remote parts of the country, because the demand there for the services was not high. So what the government did, it came up with this strategy whereby it taxes the telecommunication service providers and uses that amount of money to go and make those remote areas a little bit more attractive for these companies to go and invest there. So that availability has to be there. The government can also play a part. For example, in Kenya, we have the government rolling out national fiber optic backbone to all the areas of the country. And right now, that backbone is only being used by government agencies, but that helps. That's just one area. It also helps just to have the technology available. What about affordability? Affordability, the technology must be affordable. What can be done about that? Affordability, mainly where the government comes in are things like the taxes and some other policies that affect the cost of the equipment and the cost of the services. That should be looked into so that the services are not just available, but they are affordable to everybody to meet those SDGs. Access is also the last one, is very important. Mainly the normal link for access is the internet. Where this is important is that if the users of the technology do not have knowledge, for example, the access to the technology will be ineffective. So we need to look at the training or educating the population to be able to use the technology, and all aspects of the population should have access, including even the marginalized people, the disabled, and so on and so forth. So the 3 years, that's what I think should be concentrated on to make sure that this technology is there to change Africa using ICTs to achieve the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Watu. And you know, this comes back to my area of interest, of course, is connectivity. You know, it's got to be affordable. It's got to be available. Africa did well in the mobile era, where we bridged that gap from the fixed wire to the wireless, but we have failed to bring affordability, and that's the next challenge. We need all our citizens to be able to connect, to access the digital services, and without that, we will not achieve the SDGs. So I'm closing the session. Apologies, we're 2 minutes overrun. I'd like to thank our speakers for their
I think
wisdom.
Possam has something to say.
Oh, and yeah, last 30 seconds to Osam.
Yes, I just want to continue what was said by Dr. Wadu. What we need is, most importantly, shared knowledge. This is why we started creating the AfICTA knowledge portal. And I hope that with the new board, it would continue. We need shared knowledge about the challenges. We need shared knowledge about the opportunities, shared knowledge about the funds, shared knowledge about the best practices and successful projects, shared knowledge about the potential opportunities, and also about the resources that are capable of implementing. We need to act as one continent, not as separate entities, much weaker and much less capable of implementing strong projects in the ICT area. We need to make sure that we have shared policies. We have synergy among the private sector, and need to have shared capacity building transformation program for Africa. This is what we need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Osam. You've actually saved me now doing my speech. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the speakers. Brilliant session. I hope everybody got something out of this, and we're all open to taking questions. I'm now going to hand the floor back to the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated. This was a very enlightening session, and thank you, panelists, for your views. I heard a very strong message that came across around access. Access has to be available, and it has to be affordable. Very strong message that is coming across across all the panelists as they were discussing. And I also like the parting shot that came through about us sharing. I think AfICTA has started an initiative on the Information Hub to start sharing around the issues of strategy, policy, and the case studies themselves. How are we doing? How did we approach a particular, just to outline problems and outline solutions? How did we go about solving this type of challenges? One might learn from another. You find that some of the solutions is so easy to implement, but it's difficult to know about an easy solution if you haven't done it before. So it's very critical. We start using these platforms for us to share. I'm trying to look at the question and the questions. I haven't seen any question coming through for our panel. There was no question that came through, and I see that with regards to from my perspective, Paul, I just wanted to flight maybe a question. The question that says to Bob Ochieng to say, what is this one thing that Africa is this one thing that is a low-hanging fruit, very simple to do, that we can actually implement from an IT perspective to hit as many SDG goals as possible without much fanfare. Bob, over to you, Paul, as a moderator.
Yeah, the floor is to Bob. Bob, did you get the question?
Yes, and I think, Paul, I'll really reiterate the pivotal role and the opportunity that we keep missing by not opening up our various data across governments. Like I said, governments are the biggest producers of data and the biggest consumers of data in any economy. In any open data framework jurisdiction, a lot can happen. A lot of innovations can happen. So if there's something that we could do that we already have, we just need to start doing, is to open up our data for our population, for our youth to innovate on. Of course, within relevant data governance frameworks. I think that is a potential that we are sleeping on.
And I think we need to check. We need to check if our governments are signatories to the Open Data Partnership. Let's check. Is our government part of it a signatory? That's where to begin. If our government is not a signatory, then you are not going to make any progress. But if it's a signatory, then you begin to see how to ensure compliance.
Much appreciated for the answer. I'm so appreciative. I think this is a logical point to actually say thank you and to actually continue with the program of the day. I think we have got to the end of the summit, and I would like from the bottom of my heart to actually say thank you to all the panelists who have come through, to all our sponsors, and also to all the leadership that is contributed into this, the companies that has made their resources to give them at our disposal to use. I will hand over to my leader, Osam El Gamal, to actually close the summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear friend and Vice Chair Tabu. Great job that has been done by your good self, the preparation committee, the election committee, and also the secretariat, and all the veterans that are always supporting AfICTA from within. And this is what I trust would bring AfICTA much forward in the policy making and private sector advocacy area in the coming period. I think that it was quite insightful that publishing the discussions that we had, the suggestions and the recommendations would bring a lot of value to the community and to Africa at large. Today, in I think few moments, the African IGF will also be, the opening ceremony will take place, and they will be running tomorrow with sessions, and there is a session that is moderated by Dr. Jimson. There's also a high-level session that I will be participating in, and I think what we will do is we would carry on the recommendations that we heard today into the African Union and the African IGF sessions tomorrow. I wish to thank all the people that made it really successful for this summit, despite the coronavirus, the challenges, and all of that. And I think we have on our schedule to move on to the General Assembly. So by this, I would conclude our summit with many thanks to everyone. And let us move to the next important subject, the General Assembly of AfICTA. Thank you very much. Back to the Secretariat, please.
Thank you very much, our able chair. We appreciate your leadership. and also to Tabo and everyone. Thank you.
I think, yes.
Okay, so thank you all for joining. The AGM will be starting shortly, but this meeting link is going to be gated so as to monitor the participants that will be coming in. So we'll be sending the information you require to join in for the AGM to the WhatsApp group. Please take note. Thank you.